We're going to get into how to identify and analyze rhetorical devices in different public speeches, and we're going to end with a part of an actual speech so that you can see how to identify and evaluate rhetorical devices from almost any speech or presentation. And if you don't know what rhetorical devices are, they're basically linguistic devices that help persuade an audience. Now, in any sort of evaluation of speeches or presentations, the very first thing to do is to take a step back and understand what the purpose of that particular speech is. Was it to inspire people to take a certain action? Was it to motivate them towards a cause? Or was it to just generally persuade them for some idea? And once we understand this purpose, we can look out for different phrases, sentences, words that actually move this purpose across in a persuasive manner. Now, there are too many rhetorical devices to go over in just this one video, so I'm putting some resources down in the description below that you can check out to learn more about the different types of rhetorical devices. But in general, you're basically looking out for things like analogies, repetitions, restatements, emotional or logical appeals, or anything that builds or adds more credibility to the speaker. They're all elements that help us make a speech stronger. And when you remove those elements, the information might be the same, but it loses its power. They're going to go over some specific examples from an actual speech, as I mentioned earlier, but after we identify certain rhetorical devices, we need to ask ourselves, why are they there and how do they help move the purpose of the speech forward? And that helps us analyze these linguistic devices. Let's take Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address as an example. If you don't know the speech, it's one of the greatest speeches delivered by Lincoln during the Civil War that took place in America. Let's analyze a small part of that speech, starting off with,
"The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract."
Now, there are two rhetorical devices that we can spot over here. One is pathos, which means emotionally appealing to an audience, and the other is alliteration, which is repeating the first letter of a word. In this case, poor power. Now, how do these exactly help move the purpose of the speech forward? First off, the purpose of this speech is to dedicate a plot of land to the deceased soldiers and to inspire the people to continue fighting. So when he uses pathos, which means to emotionally appeal to an audience, it pays homage to those who have passed away. And as a leader, it shows a lot of authority because the speech is not about him. It's literally about the people, and it conveys to the audience that this guy is here to serve them. Let's continue with the speech to figure out what other rhetorical devices we can use.
"The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here."
Here, Lincoln uses contrast to show that while his speech might not be remembered, the people will never forget those who gave their lives for this cause. This is very important because it shows humility. And he's not making his address seem larger than what it actually might be. But at the same time, he recognizes that these people have given their lives for a greater cause and they must be paid homage to. Now, of course, the ironic thing here is that this speech became so memorable that it is still spoken about to this day. The important thing here to notice is that if we remove the contrasting element and we just state that the people who were brave here will be remembered, it just loses the power of that sentence. And that's the beauty of contrast and hence rhetorical devices. Finally, Lincoln's speech ends with the most famous phrase,
"And that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth."
This is a very famous device known as the rule of three. Stating something in a trio makes a sentence or a phrase sound more balanced. It sounds better, it persuades people more, and it does a better job than just stating something in a factor of one. More examples of the rule of three are, "I came, I saw, I conquered." Blood, sweat, and tears. We have an entire video on the rule of three which you can check out, linked in the description. But I hope this video has given you a sense of how you can identify and analyze rhetorical devices within a speech. We don't need to get caught up in the jargon as to what devices these are. We just need to look at the purpose of the speech and understand what phrases, words, and sentences move that purpose forward in a persuasive manner. But I highly recommend you learn more about rhetorical devices and their power and usage, which you can check out in this video right here.